Hello and welcome back to the channel for another Hamilton review. Now those of you familiar with the channel know I have a soft spot for Seikos, but that addiction is now transferring over to Hamilton because this is my third watch from this brand. However, this is my first white dialed Hamilton and it fills a gap left by the sale of my Omega Seamaster Professional, the Great White, a watch that I owned long before this channel even existed. Now the Omega today is £5,600 or $6,900, and this Hamilton, well, it's £790 or roughly $980. Same itch, a fraction of the price, bold claim, and I stand by it. But there's one caveat: the supplied bracelet needs to go, and there's gonna be more on that later in this review. But the watch itself, well, it's absolutely stunning. So is this the new best dive watch under $1,000? Well, let's crack on to initial thoughts and find out. Pictures do not do this dial justice, and honestly, even on camera it's been difficult to capture the full shimmer because it's the white dial without a sunburst effect. The beauty really comes alive only when you see it in person and have it in your hands. So what does this Hamilton get right for me? At £790 on a steel bracelet, you're getting the H10 caliber with an 80-hour power reserve, which is already impressive at this price point. But the real win is the fit on my 7.5-inch wrist. The dimensions are basically spot on, and you've got 14mm of case diameter and a 50mm lug-to-lug with 13mm of case thickness. This is just right. And it also comes with sapphire crystal and 100 meters of water resistance. Now you could argue that at 13mm thick the water resistance is a bit basic for a dive watch. I would have expected 200 meters at least, so keep that in mind if you're actually thinking about going diving. But here's the kicker: these dimensions still make it more compact than the Omega, both in diameter and thickness, and that's my first comparative plus point. Time to take a closer look at the watch, and let's start with this dial, because with this upgrade Hamilton have given this watch something genuinely special. A dial that can stand shoulder to shoulder with the very best wave dials out there, including the legendary Omega Seamaster. And I don't say that lightly. In fact, people like me have been waiting for Omega to update the aging Seamaster, and I bet if they did something like this it would go down as a masterstroke. But what I love the most is the 3D wave pattern. Each ridge has this sculpted, almost liquid form, and the top edges are finished with a silver starburst. As you rotate your wrist, those peaks catch the light and flicker, not in a loud sunburst way, but in a refined, shimmering way that feels like actual water moving across the dial. Then you've got the cobalt blue accents on the markers and the hand stack. The color choice is perfect. Against the white dial, under the sapphire crystal, those blue touches give you this subtle illusion of depth, like you're looking through water, not just at a dial. It's clever, it's intentional, and it's genius. And just when you think the aesthetic is complete, the red-tipped seconds hand comes in and elevates the whole thing. That tiny pop of color adds energy, contrast, and just the right amount of attitude. It's the kind of detail that makes you smile every time it sweeps past. Finally, the bezel, a matte blue perfectly matched to the dial's vibe, and I can confirm it feels fantastic to use. In fact, it's far easier to rotate than my Seamaster ever was, smoother, lighter, and more satisfying in everyday use. Another quiet win for the Hamilton. Now, we need to talk about the bracelet because this is the part of the watch that really lets the side down. Normally I don't complain about Hamilton steel bracelets. In fact, they're usually solid performers, reliable, well finished, and comfortable. Hamilton knows how to do bracelets, but on this model something feels off. Here's what doesn't work for me. First, there's no taper. It stays the same width all the way down, which makes it feel a bit blocky on the wrist. Then there's no on-the-fly adjustment, and no diver's extension either. Now you could argue that with only 100 meters of water resistance, even Hamilton don't see this as a serious dive watch, and maybe that's why those features are missing, but still, it's a noticeable omission. Then we get to the finish, and this is the big one. The bracelet finish doesn't match the case. It feels almost aftermarket, like a parts bin special rather than something designed specifically for this watch. And that's the problem. The watch itself feels elevated, upgraded, thoughtfully executed, but the bracelet, it feels like it wasn't invited to the same design meeting. So here's the good news, because whilst the bracelet might be the weak link, The watch itself is an absolute strap monster thanks to the super versatile 20mm lug width. So far I've paired it with 2 straps, and both have taken the watch to another level. The WatchGecko Breakwater FKM rubber strap in white, beautifully supple and works really well with this white and blue theme. Then there's the pretty standard dark blue FKM tropical strap sourced from Amazon that I just had lying around. Both straps make the watch more wearable, more interesting and more fun. Moving on, it's time for some Lume shots, and the performance here is top tier. I don't often get a chance to say this about Hamilton, so I'm going to take my time today. The Superluminova BGW9 glows bright blue. It's strong and easily lasts through the night for those 3 AM wake-up calls. Remember, I said that this is a Seamaster Killer. Well, it's just my opinion, but I prefer this Lume signature to the Seamasters a lot more, and that has to do with the lack of skeleton hands on the Hamilton. This allows the Hamilton to really show off its party trick. So its final thoughts, and honestly, Hamilton have nailed it with this update to the Scuba diver. This feels like the moment where Hamilton looked at the competition, rolled up their sleeves and said, "Alright then, let's show them what we can really do." Everything, and I mean everything, is a slam dunk except for that bracelet. And look, as a self-confessed Seiko addict, the last thing I need is to start moaning about Hamilton bracelets too. I just don't have the emotional bandwidth for that, to be totally honest with you. But here we are. The price point is very reasonable, and that's before any discounts. You're getting a great looking balanced watch that genuinely feels special on the wrist. And for some people, that little Swiss-made text at the bottom of the dial adds just a touch more magic. A tiny flex, but a tasteful one. Now the big question, the Seamaster Killer statement. Is the Seamaster a bad watch? Absolutely not. It's a brilliant timepiece. I own 2 of them, both neo-vintage era models, and I love them. The modern versions, though, they didn't last long in my collection. And here's why. The Seamaster, in my opinion, needs an update. The size, the hands, the bezel action, the steel bracelet, all of it feels like it's due for a refresh. The only thing I'd consider truly salvageable in the current lineup is the dial, because Omega still knows how to do a wave dial. But here's the twist, the Hamilton. This feels like a fresh take on the wave pattern dial, a proper surprise. I genuinely didn't think Hamilton had this level of creativity and execution in them. The update is so big, so fresh, so unexpected, that I actually sat back and said, well done, Hamilton. Just do us all a favor though, don't fall into the trap of cheaping out on the bracelets. You're so close to greatness, don't let the bracelet be the recurring villain in your story. And finally, if you've enjoyed this review, if you love watches, and if you love a bit of humor, honesty, and the occasional Seiko addict meltdown, then hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow, it keeps the content coming, and it tells the algorithm that Shuk in Time is worth pushing to more watch nerds around the world, so thank you. And until next time, keep on ticking.